Hello there, everybody. My name is Donato Luz. I am with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Northwest Real Estate. I have been doing residential real estate for going on 9 years now, and I really enjoy the teaching of real estate. I believe you should know how to talk about it, teach it, so that clients understand it. So we're going to start off after everything that Marissa just went over. The next sections are really all about how to place offers, how to communicate this to us, to the seller via the listing broker. So when placing an offer, what's really important is you got to keep your priorities in mind. When Marissa and I do our consultation with you, we're going to ask you a lot of questions, and we keep that information because that's how we set up our searches in the Northwest MLS, is based upon your priorities. With that, the next thoughts are, what are you willing to pay for a property? In our current environment, we're not seeing as many multiple offers. The thing is are you willing to pay to a property up to your pre-approval amount, below your approval amount? It really just depends on your comfort zone with ultimately your monthly payment. What kind of cash do you have on hand? Why do we say this? Is because sometimes, even though you're pre-approved, let's say, $500,000, and maybe it's a really hot home, there's going to be a lot of people wanting to put offers in, you sometimes can go above your pre-approval, at least as long as you can bring in that cash to pay over the purchase price, but not forgetting that there also are closing costs and things of that nature that have to be also taken into account. Are we going to pay at or over list price? Well, in our current environment, buyers are really not having to go over list price. Very few homes, like I mentioned, are in a scenario of multiple offers, having to do escalations. There are a few certain areas, but right now it's kind of very rare to see multiple offers going on. It's more about the contingencies that are part of a purchase and sale agreement is what we moved into. As far as a purchase and sale agreement, you need to be prepared to put down a minimum of 1% of the purchase price, which is earnest money. That earnest money is deposited with the escrow company that's handling the closing of the purchase. You can always put more than 1%, but usually the minimum is 1%. It's good to know the various market areas that you're thinking about purchasing in. It helps us. That is part of the questions that we ask. But it also comes down to, where can you afford to live? Obviously, a lot of people, they want to live inside Seattle proper itself. But a lot of people just can't afford to live there. A regular 3-bedroom, 2-bath home in Seattle itself could be in the $8,000 to $9,000+ thousands of dollars, compared to same type property. You come further south, say into Burien, Des Moines, Federal Way, and it's $400,000 or $500,000. And then depending upon if you go out to Kitsap or go into Pierce County or wherever, that same property can be even less. But that also goes on to, how far are you willing to drive? Some of the biggest questions we ask is, where do you work? Because we want to be able to speak to that scenario. Because if you're a person that needs to drive to work, you're not a work home person, we need to have an idea, because we want to make sure that, one, we're not taking you 45 minutes to an hour somewhere where it's just too much for you in the mornings or in the evenings to get to and from work. Obviously, we do have clients who are like, I am happy to drive an hour to work to and from, because where I'm coming home to is just incredible, and they enjoy that. Some people are okay with driving long distance because maybe they only have to come in once a week to work or once a month to work. It just really depends, but that's an important factor. How far are you willing to drive? That includes family, that includes friends, that includes schools, that includes really everything. What are you willing to drive? Be prepared for a counteroffer. Yes, there are counteroffers happening, especially if you decide and you say, hey, Donato, I know the property is priced at $625. We reviewed all the comps. I'm looking at various things on our own. And I think I only want to offer, say, $600,000, which is fine. I write up offers based upon our conversations and what you're comfortable with. But don't be shocked if the seller comes back with some sort of counteroffer. And don't compare your process to other scenarios that maybe your family, your friends, whatever's occurred, because each transaction is its own transaction. The biggest things is you don't know what occurred in that transaction. All you've heard is maybe a one-sided scenario, but you didn't get the whole picture. Because there's a lot of moving parts that go into the purchasing of a home. And so you really shouldn't compare why someone's transaction, closed, say, in 21 days, and yours maybe is going to close in 45 days. Everything's a little different.